All right, today we are diving into one of the most important skills any professional driver has to master: transporting cargo safely. And we're going to go beyond just the rules in a book. We're talking about building the real world habits that keep you and everybody else on the road safe for your whole career. Let's get right into it. So here's our roadmap. Think of it like a real haul. First up, we'll talk about your responsibilities before you even turn the key. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of weight and balance. After that, it's all about the hands-on work of locking down your load. And finally, we'll cover the checks you have to make once you're out there on the move. Okay, let's start at square one, the absolute foundation of all of this. Because when it comes to cargo safety, it all begins and ends with you, the driver. And you know, the stakes don't get any higher. This quote right from the manual says it all. Loose cargo isn't just some abstract danger to other cars. In a sudden stop or a crash, it becomes a deadly missile inside your own truck. And here is the bottom line, something you've got to remember. It really doesn't matter who loaded the truck. Legally, the buck stops with you. You're the final sign-off. That means it's on you to inspect the cargo, to spot any issues with overloads or bad balance, to make dead sure it's secured right, and to check that nothing is blocking your view or your path to your emergency gear. Now, let's get into the why of it all, the physics of a safe load. You know, once you understand why these rules are in place, following them becomes second nature. This is where knowing a little bit of science can save you a whole lot of trouble. First up is the gross vehicle weight rating. You'll see it as GVWR. The easiest way to think about this is it's the absolute weight limit for a single piece of your equipment. So it's the max weight for your truck by itself or your trailer by itself as decided by the people who built it. Then we've got the gross combination weight rating, or GCWR. Now this is the big one. This is the max legal weight for the whole shebang: your tractor, your trailer, and every bit of cargo. Going over this isn't just about getting a ticket. You're putting a massive strain on your brakes, your engine, everything. And we also have to talk about axle weight. See, this isn't just about the total weight. It's about how that weight is spread out. This is so important for protecting our roads and especially our bridges, which are engineered to handle very specific loads. And what happens when you get that balance wrong? Well, the consequences are immediate and they are dangerous. Put too much weight up front, and suddenly steering feels like you're wrestling a bear. Too little weight on those front axles, you could lose traction, or worse, steering control, especially when the weather gets bad. And stacking heavy stuff up high, that creates a high center of gravity, which just skyrockets your risk of a rollover on any curve or ramp. Now take a look at this. This image just lays it out perfectly. Look at the examples on the wrong side. All the weight shoved to the back or piled way too high. You can just see how that would make steering feel light or create that dangerous tipping point. Then look at the right side. That's the goal every single time. Weight spread out evenly and kept as low to the floor as possible. Okay, so we get it. Weight and balance are crucial. So now let's move on to the practical stuff. The actual rules and tools you use to physically lock that cargo down, so it stays exactly where you put it. Inside a van or a trailer, you've got two main tricks up your sleeve: blocking and bracing. Blocking is pretty much what it sounds like. You're securing pieces of material, usually wood, right to the floor, snug against the cargo so it can't slide around. Bracing is a little different. It uses supports to go from the upper part of the cargo down to the walls or the floor to keep it from tipping over. Now, for flatbeds, it's all about tie-downs, and there's a really simple rule of thumb here. You need at least one tie-down for every 10 feet of cargo. It's a super straightforward calculation. Got a 30-foot load? You need at least 3 tie-downs. A 40-foot load? You need at least 4. It's that simple. And here's a perfect picture of that rule in action. See how the tie-downs are spaced out nice and even along the cargo? That's what ensures you have consistent pressure holding that entire load down securely. But, and this is probably the most important exception you can ever learn, here's the golden rule you can never, ever forget. It doesn't matter how short or light the cargo is, even if it's just a tiny 5-foot-long pallet, the absolute minimum is always 2 tie-downs. Why? Because 1 can act like a pivot. 2, make sure it stays put. Period. All right, so you're all secured. The job's done, right? Nope. Securing your load isn't a one-and-done deal. Your responsibility continues for every single mile of that trip.
because a load that's perfectly secure when you start can shift and work its way loose over time.
And the regulations on this are crystal clear. You have to memorize this schedule. First, you must recheck your cargo and all your tie-downs within the first 50 miles of your trip. After that, you check again every 3 hours or every 150 miles, whichever comes first. And then you check again after every single break you take. This is totally non-negotiable.
During those checks, you're looking for any slack in your straps or chains and tightening them up. And while you're actually driving, you gotta keep an eye on those mirrors. A flapping tarp or cover isn't just annoying, it could be about to tear off, and that can blind you or another driver in an instant. So, to wrap things up, let's just briefly talk about a few types of cargo that need some extra TLC. These are the kinds of loads that have their own unique personalities and can really test even the most experienced drivers out there.
Just think about the challenges here. Dry bulk tanks have a really high center of gravity. Hanging meat can literally swing back and forth like a giant pendulum. And livestock, well, they have a mind of their own and can move around, shifting your center of gravity when you least expect it. And oversized loads, well, they're a whole other ballgame. For every single one of these, there's one golden rule: slow down, especially on curves, ramps, and turns. Okay, after all of that, let's do a quick knowledge check. Based on everything we just covered, what is the absolute minimum number of tie-downs you'd need for a 20-foot load? Just think back to that 1 per 10-foot rule, because applying that kind of knowledge every single time is what makes a professional truly safe.